because I learnt early on that I have a choice in how I respond in the heaviness of cancer or even my meningioma.
This is Guest Glimpse, a soulful reflection defining a moment of clarity with meaning from a fellow traveller.
So life has a way of throwing so many things at us, things that we're not necessarily expecting. And my life, I've gone through a number of different challenges, or what I like to call adventures. Initially, I went through depression, and that was my rock bottom in 2012. From there, in 2017, I actually hit burnout. I was struggling because I was juggling a corporate role, which I used to love, with my new business as a kinesiologist. And the love for my kinesiology business was growing so much that there was a great divide. My corporate job demanded more, and I just couldn't do it anymore. I still remember the day that I actually really hit the rock bottom with burnout. I was dropping my children off at school, and as I got to the roundabout to turn left to go to work, my body took over and I turned right and went home. Something took over and my body was screaming. It was screaming for me to listen. The stress from the corporate job was killing me, literally. I noticed that I was angry all the time. I was angry at work. I was angry with my husband and my children, and it just wasn't fair to anybody. And that was the moment when I realized I needed to quit my job and allow myself to fully go on the journey as a business owner full time. And that's exactly what I did. Then, just as we were coming out of COVID in 2021, I looked in the mirror and realised something didn't look right. A trip to the GP, and then the surgeon, and then a number of different tests. And within a couple of weeks, I was told that I had breast cancer. Now, I have to say, as with anybody, that came as a total shock. But for me, I was able to connect with gratitude relatively quickly. I was able to be grateful for the fact that I looked in the mirror and noticed something was wrong, and that I was able to get into the GP and then the surgeon and then all the tests. It all happened relatively quickly. And of course, I had all the support around me. Surgery was a week later, and again, I was grateful that I was able to go in so quickly. Now, in Melbourne, Australia at that time, there were no visitors allowed in hospitals because we were coming out of COVID. But I was grateful for the fact that we had telephones with video conferencing, so I could chat to my family on video. It was actually quite an interesting time for me, and the cancer really taught me about how important it is to listen to your body and how important it is then to go on the journey of finding out what's going on. Because I could have ignored what I saw in the mirror. I had had a mammogram and an ultrasound only 6 months prior to this, and I was told everything was okay. But something within me told me that something wasn't. So the breast cancer really helped me to understand and connect in with listening to my own inner voice. And then only a few months ago, I was told I have a meningioma, which is a tumour on the brain. And I have to say that also came as a shock and probably scared me the most, because my brain is what allows me to think and create in this world. And again, it showed me the importance of stepping back, listening to my body, and really embracing the people around me, the people that actually support me. So the practices that I've used to help restore myself emotionally, physically, and spiritually include going to a kinesiologist. So as a kinesiologist myself, I see the value and importance of going to a kinesiologist to clear the energy systems in my body regularly. Physically, I've started to really be mindful of what I eat. And I don't do this from a diet perspective, but more about embracing what I know and feel is right for my body. And spiritually, I've always loved to meditate. It's something that has been a part of my life now since I hit rock bottom with depression back in 2012. And I've created my own version called Liminals, which is all about guiding yourself into your unconscious mind to gather information at that point. So I tend to do a lot of that. And I'm always in communication with God, with the universe. All day I'm chatting with them. And in and amongst all of that, I also am constantly grateful. Grateful for the big things and grateful for the little things. You know, those times where you get all the green lights or you get a car spot close to where you want to go. They're the little things that I'm always grateful for. Now, to hold space for myself, I make sure that I balance how many clients I have a week. As a kinesiologist, the clients I see can be, there's a broad range of the emotional impact that they're going through. So I have to be mindful of that impact on myself. I make sure that I limit the number of clients I have in a day and over a week, and I make sure that I take time out for myself. Now, that time out, sometimes it is sitting in front of the television, and that's okay. But when I am watching telly, it's usually something funny, something like The Big Bang Theory or The Neighborhood. They're my favorite shows at the moment. So balance in my body feels peaceful. It feels calm. It's like I have the ability to think clearly and creatively with no effort. Balance for me is when life is in flow and things just come easily and I'm not trying so hard. In terms of how I juggle my self-care and service, as I mentioned, I really love to make sure I get my own healings done. So once a month, I see my kinesiologist and I make sure that I take that time out. I've also developed really strong boundaries about when I will answer phone calls. So if it gets to about 7 p.m. at night, I generally won't answer any client calls, any messages, because I need that space for me to unwind. The only reason I would have my phone on me is because I just want to make sure my kids are safe. Other than that, I don't answer any messages. I don't answer emails because I need that space. That's my boundaries. And when I put in place time for myself, I also have strong boundaries and won't allow anyone to encroach on those boundaries. In terms of rituals, one of the favorite things I love to do is something called heart breathing, which comes from heart math. And it's essentially connecting in with your heart. So breathing in and out of your heart and then connecting with a regenerative emotion. And I tend to do that in the morning. And when I'm doing that in the morning, I'm usually connecting in with success and compassion and whatever other emotion I feel I may need for the day ahead. At night, as I go to bed and I do this same ritual, I'm usually connecting in with gratitude. Gratitude for the day that I just had, for the growth, for the learnings, for all the wonderful things that came to me in that day. As a business owner, and my business is called Empowered Happiness, I generally tend to veer off towards happiness whenever anything's going on in my life. So even through the cancer, I would lean into, because I was leaning into gratitude, it was easy for me to lean into the happiness. I was quite often cracking jokes around me. It was my way of allowing myself to laugh through the challenges and not get caught up in the heaviness of cancer or even my meningioma. Because I learnt early on that I have a choice in how I respond to what life throws at me. And I have now come to understand that everything that happens is an adventure. And as with all adventures, they end. So I go on my adventure, my health journey. I learn, I grow, I have a bit of fun. I may cry, I may get a little sad, I may get a little worried, but essentially I lean into the happiness because I know that I have a choice. And happiness and gratitude have a positive healing effect on the body. whereas worry and negativity cause stress. And I know that that impedes the body's ability to heal. So I allow myself to really lean in to the more positive, regenerative emotions to help me navigate through whatever life throws at me. So my body has really taught me that it's important to listen. And as a kinesiologist, that's what we do. We know the importance of listening to the body. And through my own personal experiences, I know how important it is. So listening to that little niggle that something's not quite right, listening to that little niggle about going for a walk or eating more healthily. I now naturally don't even like to drink alcohol. I used to drink when I was younger, but now my body just doesn't want it and I don't feel the need for it. So again, I listened to my body. So my body's really taught me about being present in the moment and listening to what I need, what my truth is in that moment. And that extends out also into how I communicate with others. So when I'm listening to a client in the clinic or when I'm listening to my children or my husband or my friends, it's allowed me to really stop, consciously listen, and then allow myself space to respond once I've heard what they're saying. And I love to guide people to do the same for themselves. I love to guide people to connect back in with their bodies. And in truth, the biggest thing I do is teach them heart breathing. The heart is the center of who we are. The heart is where we feel our emotions. And so many people have cut that off because of pain, because of emotional pain, because of hurt. They're scared of feeling. But that's where the magic lies. When we feel into life, we realize and recognize that we have a choice in how we feel. And yes, you can choose to be sad. You can choose to be worried. But in that choice, you then understand also that you can choose something else. You can choose joy and gratitude and happiness. So I really love to teach people how to connect in with their heart more. And if I was going to give one message to someone in the midst of burnout or illness, it would be to connect in with their heart, because your heart has the wisdom and the intuition to know what it is that is right for you in that moment. So I hope you've learnt something in this little recording. And as I always love to finish everything I share, happiness starts with a smile and empowerment starts with a choice. Thank you for listening.
This is Dr. Mel Baker, and you've been listening to Living Reflections, where truth is honoured and a sacred space is held. Until next time, may you find breath, clarity, and your own quiet return.